Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Botter, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show.
Leave the little one here so we can talk business.
Wait, wherever I go, he goes.
Mando, please. Where we're going, you don't want to take a child, trust me.
No, did you guys know that the holiday special, the Star Wars Lego holiday special, is available already?
Yeah.
I saw it advertised. I didn't see that it was available.
Yeah, it's still too early for me. Like, I kind of want to wait until at least Thanksgiving to watch
Is
it.
This might be a dumb question.
No.
Is it a
Dumb question.
Is it
Damn
a new?
Just as a thought.
Is it a new holiday special? Or are they
Yeah.
recreating the other one, the original?
No,
No, it's
Lego?
new. It's brand new.
Because I want to see that.
Yes.
It incorporates all of the
so
universes.
that's what I'm saying.
or
This-
sequel trilogies.
This new one,
That too.
I'm just like, I mean, unless there's, I don't want to see something polished and nice.
If you call it holiday special,
Like-
there
Well,
better
it's
be
Lego,
some weird.
so-
I want it to be a variety show, like the old one was, where it was like set up.
I
If there's
don't.
not a Wookiee porn scene in it.
Thank
then,
you, Adam.
It's not a holiday special.
If an old ass Wookiee isn't looking around before he opens up the internet on his iPhone and watches a scantily clad lady sing him songs like Diana Ross and the Supremes,
On LSD.
dude, was he on? Yeah, like
I don't know,
seriously.
but like all of a sudden the colors, I've never seen those colors
that dude
before
was
in the world.
that Wookiee was fucking faded.
Well, now this special has a lot to live up to.
And their son is out like teeter-tottering on the edge of
Look,
the tower.
I just want celebrities, and I don't think I'm going to get it with this holiday special. Like, I'm going to get a lot of celebrity. I'm going to get a lot of celebrity sound-alikes, and I'm just like, no.
I wonder how they did voice it. If all the characters, especially from the sequel trilogy, reprised their roles. Because some of them are very like anti-Star Wars now.
I don't blame
Like
them.
Poe and Finn, those actors are anti.
And Daisy Ridley as well.
Is she really?
She's like, nah, we're good. Like, the fact that she didn't agree to do this is kind of a sign,
She
too.
didn't?
That ain't her
Dang.
voice.
I was wondering how that would work. Because I know that, with the holiday special with Harrison Ford, he pretty much had to be dragged on stage in order to do it. And they're like, no, it's in your
The
contract. Like,
original one.
That's awesome.
so he probably, he might have done this
He's
one for
looking
a
at-
check.
He's looking at those fucking Wookiees like, you guys are like my family. It's like, oh, God.
All I heard is that there is a vacant Finn Lego voice slot that they need, and I can do it. Yo, give me a line. Give me a line that Finn says.
Just scream Ray. That's all you got to do.
Hold up. One second.
Ray. All right.
Yeah, I think I got that.
Almost.
I think that was good.
Almost.
That was good? Okay.
No.
2 out of 5?
Picture you're yelling at your career, leaving you, and go.
Ray!
Oh, man, great.
Felt
Better.
that one, right?
Yeah.
It's good. I felt it.
Make sure to edit that one. All right, I think we are good to go ahead and start this week's show. Ladies and gents, Shortbox Nation, welcome back, and new friends tuning in for the first time. Welcome to the Shortbox Podcast, your soon-to-be favorite comic book and pop culture podcast. I'm your host, and this is the fourth installment of our Mandalorian Season 2 recap review series. We'll be covering Episode 4, Chapter 12 today, so consider this your spoiler warning for the rest of the episode. We'll be discussing important plot points and other Easter eggs going forward. And luckily for you and me, I'm not doing this episode solo. I'm joined yet again with a full crew that consists of Miss Blythe Brumleaf.
Hello.
My right-hand man, Cesar Cordero, is back with us today.
Gina Carano, you thick, but will you marry me? I'm not joking.
Let me know if Sarah ends up listening to this episode.
I'm done. We're done. We're done.
And making his second in a row podcast reappearance is Adam Wallet, ladies and gents.
The check from last week bounced.
I got you.
You
I
sound
got
like
right
you worked
after
for the
5
short
minutes.
box.
How's everyone doing today? Everyone doing all right?
But I was like,
Let's get off the topic of this money.
Let's edit this out.
All right, well, look, before we get into the main event, I have some people to thank that help us pay the bills to make this show
So
happen.
smash that like button.
Thank you. See, this episode is brought to you commercial-free by our sponsor, Gotham City Limit, Jacksonville's premier place for comics, toys, collectibles, and more. If you're in Jacksonville, stop by the shop on Southside Boulevard and tell Ben the Shortbox sent you.
Stick 'em.
Lastly, please don't stick them up. Please, leave Ben alone. Lastly, this show is made possible by our Shortbox patrons. They help us maintain and grow the show with donations, ensuring its longevity, and the continued production of episodes like the one you're enjoying now. So if you're interested in supporting the show and earning our eternal gratitude and some awesome perks along the way, visit patreon.com/theshortbox to become a patron or click the link in the episode description. Sponsor appreciation out the way. Let's analyze this episode of The Mandalorian. Starting with the credits, this episode has several return cameos. It stars Gina Carano as Cara Dune, Carl Weathers as Greef Karga, and he's also making his Star Wars directorial debut with this episode as well. We also get Horatio Sands as the Mithril, Omed Aptahi as Dr. Pershing.
Don't hurt yourself.
My tongue is like
Man,
flexing.
I see it, dude. I'm there. I'm got you.
Only
Hold my
two more
hand.
names. Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon, and Paul Sun Hyung Lee returns as Captain Carson Teva. This episode is directed by Carl Weathers, written and produced by Jon Favreau. In this episode, the Mandalorian returns to his friends Greef and Cara on Nevarro for repairs on a ship, but is also talked into blowing up an old Imperial base. Little to everyone's knowledge, there is a lot more taking place at the base. So I wanted to start off with Carl Weathers' his Star Wars directorial debut. From what I saw, the reception to this episode was pretty positive from what I've seen. Even old hating ass Rotten Tomatoes gave this episode a 94%, and the critic consensus read, the Seige doesn't take the season by storm, but Carl Weathers' deft direction and some exciting character moments for Giancarlo Esposito make it another enjoyable installment. With you back with us today, I want to start off with you. What are your thoughts or reactions to Carl Weathers' directorial Star Wars debut?
I mean, speaking from a professional perspective, he did okay. He kind of fucked up continuity-wise by letting that guy with the blue jeans in his shot. And then not having any sort of...
Look, give it 2 months, he's going to have a Marvel series.
Yeah, it was an artistic choice.
They already had, did you see it? They call him, Lieutenant Steve Blue Jeans or something
Right,
like that?
like he's an actual Star Wars character. I want that actual...
I'm
He's
surprised that they haven't edited that part out.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Because they did that in Game of Thrones
'Cause it
with
was
like the
intentional.
Starbucks cup or whatever. They edited that out.
right.
They want it just to be easier to dress up and cosplay.
Like, it's like,
Star
I want
Wars
to talk to
characters.
Jon Favreau and I want to talk to Carl and just be like, guys, I know that you're trying to do this whole, hey, it's the 70s. You know, we could still see the sand speeder on the forklift shaking, you know.
If
like,
only you had tiny pink booty shorts on,
Wait.
then it would have been.
Yeah, his fucking parents and his like hometown peeps were
Oh,
like
dude.
hype.
He did it
Yo,
on purpose.
Steve made a cameo.
dude, never have jeans been so popular since Rob Liefeld. Never.
I'm the only one wearing jeans. Oh no!
Oh man.
There
you
before the
notice
grace
it
of God,
live?
July.
See, the feeling is already out there. It's already influencing.
Oh, I see. Blythe, a part of your jean sympathizer agenda.
Wait, did you notice it live?
No,
No.
not at all.
You fucking bums.
Not at all. Dude, I'm going to tell you right now. This show is so good. You're gonna get to the point where you're gonna ask us all, what are some gripes? What are some nitty picks? And I'm just gonna be like, I got
I have
none,
never
dude.
said nitty picks.
You've told me them every day.
I've never said nitty picks.
I'm just The show's good, dude.
So from your professional opinion, you thought that this episode?
I
was
thought he
just
did
okay?
good. I thought the way he told the story was good. There was, in my opinion, no pacing issues. I enjoyed it.
What else has he directed?
Good question, Adam. He has directed several. Cesar, you can learn a thing or two. Carl Weathers has
I will
directed.
stab you.
Carl Weathers has actually directed a few episodes of several TV shows, including episodes of like Hawaii Five-0, like the 2019 series. He's directed. I mean, none of these are definitely pale in comparison.
No,
but,
I was actually just farting. What are you talking
oh.
about? I love Hawaii Five-0.
He's directed 5 episodes of Sheena, that show of Gina Lee Nolan from the 2000s. He's directed some episodes of Silk Stockings from the mid 90s. I know. I mean, like I said, none of this stuff was like
USA After Dark.
3 episodes of 18 Wheels of Justice, which also featured another Star Wars alumni. That show had starred
A trucking show?
What the
Yes,
fuck?
yes. Billy D. Williams was in that show
stop.
for the record.
Hold on.
I kid you not, bro.
Hold on.
I was like,
Please stop right now because you're diminishing his record already.
All right,
It's
well,
like,
I'm
Carl
giving you the
Weathers-
facts.
Don't forget, he is an esteemed actor.
Yes,
coach
absolutely.
as well.
The question was aimed about his directorial work.
Let's not forget the episode of Renegade with Lorenzo Lamas that he directed in 1991.
I'm just saying he's got experience in front of the camera and behind the camera. I think behind the camera maybe is not as prevalent. I think that's why a lot of people were thrown off that. Oh wow, Carl Weathers is a director.
But this show is so like broken down. Like it's not trying to wow you too much. No one's doing any Stanley Kubrick shots on that show.
No,
because it ruins the aesthetic. The aesthetic is serialized TV from the 60s. Boom, there you go. So if you can point a camera, I mean, in the 60s, it was like, you're hired, kid. You're a great director, where it's like, all right, Carl Weathers, he'll do. I feel like Jon Favreau's the kind of guy that's like, don't fuck with my money, So he's going to be like, yeah, Carl, how bad could he fuck it up? Yeah, let him run one. He's a nice guy. Let him run one.
No, I thought he fit the template really well. Like this piece fit really
If
well.
Favreau
inside
lets
the
Filoni
overall
be an
puzzle.
actor, come on. Let him.
Shit, yo, I might just show up on set one day,
Possible.
like, hey, you want to? I don't know.
Hey,
produce
kid,
this
what are you
episode?
doing right now? Nothing.
Speaking of Easter eggs, see, you had mentioned the guy in the jeans. Did anyone find any cool Easter eggs or other cool findings?
Are you going to list them all?
I've only got one. I mean, there's a ton of them. I just don't feel like boring people like patch like Easter eggs and shit like that. The only one of relevance that I kind of resonated with me is that there is a statue of IG-11
Right.
that can be seen when Jaren and Dune and Karga are walking to the old cantina. He's kind of in the back, which to me, I think is important because this whole episode felt like it was bridging episode 1 of season 1 and episode 9 of season 1 with like this current season. It's kind of cool to see like them kind of fit like these different puzzle pieces and like plot points that we didn't really get answers for in the prior season. And this, I feel like this season has just kind of been them showing us like,
What
all right,
didn't you get answered that was answered in this one?
oh, for example, like why the Empire wanted the kid, what Dr. Pershing was doing with the child, when Din ends up saving him in like episode 2, season 1.
I was
So,
saying,
like,
those
certain
are,
things
those
like
are
that.
big plot points that they don't necessarily have to answer right away, or else the show's done.
Yeah, for sure. I just thought it
I thought
was
you
a
meant,
cool
like, little
moment.
shit.
It was like a cool moment. So like, oh, okay, this is them like kind of building out the story and like getting things connected. Any other Easter eggs that you guys noticed at all?
Probably tying in the sequel trilogy, I thought was interesting. That was one of the first times that we kind of can hypothesize, when they reference the M count, the midichlorians, and going back to even the prequel trilogy. But then they also tie into what kind of looks like a Snoke lookalike, and we finally will start to get a little bit of an explanation.
God bless
on
Dave
that.
Filoni, man.
I didn't notice it while watching it, but read it after the fact that they used Snoke's music, an altered version of Snoke's music,
yeah?
over that.
That I
scene.
did pick up on.
So
Huh.
yeah,
I that's the one thing about Dave Filoni, man, is that he will take shit and then somehow craft it into something that is amazing. Like it's like if I had this does a better job of setting up how sinister the Empire is, because in this world I totally buy that. One, the Empire is basically a metaphor for like Nazis hanging out in South America, right? They're doing some shit we don't know, and anytime somebody goes after them or they're the antagonist in the movies or in the show, it's like, all right, well, it's like the fucking Mossad hunting these people down. It's I'm in. I want to go on this adventure. And then the fact that in real life the Nazis did horrible experiments done on people with horrible science as well that does not add up. I like that too, which is why it does not bother me that they mentioned the M count or any of that shit, because thematically within the show, it makes sense that they are playing the role of evil fucked up Nazi scientists who think, yes, and this is how we'll take over. And it's like, no. It's,
looking for the grail
right,
and all
like,
that.
it doesn't matter. Like, midichlorians don't matter. None of that shit matters. It's fucking dumb. Dave Filoni is kind of like doing his best to kind of sweep it under the rug by using it as a plot point that these two-dimensional bad guys.
Yo, this is Botter. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YOO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And then I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can, and don't forget to use that discount code YOO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show.
Well, see, I did hear that they're in the sequel trilogy, before they sort of got lambasted for a lot of their decisions, that they were going to go more into the science of it. So I saw that and I was like, oh, that's interesting to me, because I want to know more about the science of the midichlorians and how they're cloning and how it applies, the child's DNA. And
It comes down, I think what it's there's people that have big problems with the prequels, and there's people that have big problems with the sequel trilogy. But in both instances, I think what we'll see, and using the prequels as a model for this, is that we'll see that there are things that you can pull from it that add to the overall Star Wars thing.
Absolutely.
And the things that don't just like you said, not specifically brush under the rug, but like we highlight the things that we want to really carry on. And it's kind of like a challenge now, right? There's some things you can't change that those sequel trilogies happen.
Right.
But you can kind of pull what you want from them, and you can still go in any direction that you want.
That's why so like, here's the best way to describe it. In this, they set it up like, oh fuck. Not only is the Empire bad, but they're committing crimes against nature. In the new trilogy, they literally show you a jar of Snokes. And you're like, this is fucking hilarious. It's not, I don't get a sinister vibe. I get this, I laughed in the theater when I saw it. Like, I'm like, there's a fucking jar of Snokes. It's like, it's like in a yellow dash jar. And these poor fucking hooded guys are like, we have to grow the right one or the bus will kill us. Like, that's not sinister. But in The Mandalorian, it's like, oh shit. Stakes. There are stakes.
And speaking of sinister, is Moff, is it Gideon?
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't the same. Was that the same? That wasn't the same armor he was wearing when we saw him at the end of last season.
I don't think so.
Because it looked...
He's wearing the Dark Trooper armor.
Okay, that's what it was. Because it had very much like a Vader-esque
Sure.
thing to it.
Sure.
And then,
I mean, the dry ice smoke when they opened the door and red lighting.
Yeah.
Of course.
And then, like, I don't know if it was just like it was too dark on my screen, but I couldn't really tell what
I think
is that purposeful?
Those were the Dark Troopers from the Star Wars first-person shooter game from back in the day.
Got it.
The Dark Troopers. They're droids.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was wondering. I was like, well, is it just armor that they're building, or is it because do they have people just kind of like, you're gonna wait here until it's ready to go?
It's like a guy
stand very still.
Like, it's like,
don't you sneeze? Don't you sneeze?
so like, are we still going out this weekend? I thought we were.
I think last episode we had all I think we all were thinking that this was going to be a filler episode before we get the Dave Filoni written and directed episode with episode 5.
Of course.
And I kind of had I had those feelings like in the beginning of the episode. I think the first 10 minutes, I was like, ah, damn, another Aaron of the Week type episode.
That's
But
every episode.
I think just coming off of that episode, or the last episode where we got like a lot of revelations, I guess I was expecting maybe a little more. I don't know. I think I was maybe expecting something different, but they kind of kept the action going immediately.
I wasn't necessarily as it seemed to be like the internet mood after this episode was much more excited than I was. I was much more excited after last week's episode, and I don't know if maybe that was sort of like the female empowerment of the last week's episode versus this one, but rewatching it again, some of those action scenes, especially like the space battle scenes, you know, that they're trying to get away from the TIE fighters, that to me was really well done, and that had a lot of anticipation, but that was probably the highlight of it, outside of like, you know, the child's, you know, little comedic moments, which
Stealing
were really
macaroons.
really cute.
It was cute.
I noticed that in the end art, which is some of the great parts of the. Just the
I
little,
feel like they've gotten so much better.
You can tell that they commissioned that art before like the story was final, before they finished the episode, because it was definitely like they were not macaroons, they were different
Right.
cookies.
Right. It'd be funny if they were like Oreos.
Alternate universe. But no, I think I feel the same way, Blythe. Like, this episode was fun, but I think that the one part that they missed was I wanted an extra layer where they had set us up with the Mandalorian's like crisis that he just came, and
There you go.
all we
That's what I wanted to say.
needed was a few seconds of a scene where it shows him something visual that shows him kind of like second guessing what he knows or think
Yes.
or like that he is, because it just was like this episode could have came before the last episode. Like in terms of tone and attitude for the main character, and it wouldn't have felt out of place.
It's like the momentum was lost from the last episode.
Yeah, like
That's
it
what I
didn't
kinda
carry over the like that part, that main story that's running through here, which is the Mandalorian's journey,
Right.
and that wasn't picked up. Like they
'Cause
handed the baton off,
and the
they
armorer was missing too from this episode. I thought that if we went back to Nevarro, we would absolutely see the armorer.
She did.
And she would, you know, they would have like a come to Jesus moment as far as like their faith that they follow.
either
and,
dead or probably in hiding somewhere. You know,
Well, no, I don't know. If
She's at her summer home.
but it
That's
was, I mean, to contradict that, you did see those first few moments as the episode started where he's slightly lifting his
That's
helmet.
what I was going to bring up. I was going to say the show is always about not fan service, not the narrative. What is the arc for the character, right? He has never taken off his mask. And my prediction is the only time, well, except for IG, whatever.
no, but that's not true.
The only time he's going to take off his mask is going to be in front of his son, in front of little baby Yoda. That's my guess. The fact that he's like, have some of that French onion soup, and then he puts it down, and then like little baby Yoda's kind of looking at him like, let me get a little peek. Come on, Dad, what's going up in there?
My thing is that we didn't, and this is very minor. It just seemed like that was normal for him to do. Like we didn't. There was nothing that was able. There was nothing that kind of.
But we had
bridged
never
that.
seen it as the audience, and
You're
that's
right.
done on purpose.
For sure, absolutely. But what I wanted was just a little bit more of a bridge to show that, like, some sort of, and this is where you come like with the directing of it or the writing of the episode, is that they just had. I wanted to see one little thing, and I don't know what
They
it
had
would
to
have
make
been.
room for fan service, man.
Yeah.
So they had to make room for the fan
I'm
service.
right there with you, Adam. Speaking about Baby Yoda, I did have a note here that it's been enjoyable watching the Mando kind of embrace and take on this father role. I mean, to open like the episode up with like maybe we can all relate to.
Yeah, how many times have you brought the wrong tool to your dad when he's fixing
I
the
was
car?
I was watching it play out scene by scene. I've
I was
probably had
crying.
that moment with my dad. A few times.
It was like
That's
to
all
me,
that was missing was the yelling. Was
Yeah,
the very
the
aggressive
cursing.
yelling.
He's very
yelling.
patient.
It was
though.
very. It was very Baby Groot or Kid
Yes.
Groot.
Yes,
in,
I saw that.
where he was like, "This
Yeah.
one, no.
Yeah.
This one, no."
He's like, all right, now repeat it to me. I am Groot. I am Groot.
But not just that opening scene, but also like just like small things that they have him do, like wiping, the blue spit from his mouth, like like
Yeah.
As he's driving, so
yeah,
he's
it's like,
multitasking.
damn, man, like this is just kind of resonates.
It's such a mom move to do. where it's
Yes.
just like, oh my God. Like my mom did it to me
Blythe,
yesterday.
what was maybe a scene or maybe a theme that resonated with you this episode?
I say Cara Dune. For me,
Yes.
like Star Wars goes outside. I come from a Star Wars world where it's Princess Leia and it's Rey. this series has really sort of opened the doors to me on other women in this universe that it's been really exciting to watch between last week's episode and then this week's episode with Cara Dune coming back. She has that really great fight scene. She's a marshal now. And then she also has that great scene with, I'm forgetting his name. He's the X-Wing pilot. Yeah. So she has that great scene with him.
Veteran.
And you could tell that she's really contemplating on whether to go back and join the war again, or if she's good at her current place, and you could see that internal struggle. I really liked that scene. And then also when she's like driving that ship off of the side of the mountain and she just has a smirk on her face and the other two guys are freaking the fuck out. Like it's just another day in the office for her. So that really stood out to me.
And I want to comment on that because that resonated hugely with me because one, Gina Carano is no slouch when it comes to real life badassery. Two, it kind of reestablishes the idea that this world is a Western. This is a Western show. They literally called her the Marshal. Mm-hmm. Well, the Marshal's coming to pick you guys up, and you get to see she runs her town differently than Timothy Oliphant runs his town, he was the Marshal of that town and she's the Marshal of this town. And Mandalorian just happened to ride in on his horse and see what's going on with my friends. And when she's talking to the pilot and he's like, well, when did you serve? Blah. Hey, I served during Alderaan. It sucked. It just reminded me how in real life when Navy SEALs die and other Navy SEALs go to their funeral, they fucking, they beat their insignia into the casket, right? And I felt like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like the little thing that he pulled out and put on the table wasn't just a challenge coin. It was this is probably a medal I might have won during combat. And it's more or less kind of I'm sorry you lost people.
Yeah. It was also a really stupid question. Have you lost anyone?
Yeah.
The whole planet blew up. Yes. We lost everyone.
You never know, man. She might not be the only person.
Well, Leia survived.
Yeah,
and she's from Alderaan.
That is the angriest I've ever seen Adam. And of course, it was a Star Wars.
Adam.
Uncle Bobby was on vacation.
Adam had family on Alderaan. It's a sensitive issue. It's a sensitive issue.
To Blythe's point, that was probably
# never forget.
That was probably one of my that was a theme that I had listed here was just trust in this world, and the mistrust from the outer sectors against authority, regardless of who they be. Because I think even Greef Karga even says, if the Republic Empire couldn't do it, what makes these guys think they can, establish law and order? They don't trust the
police.
Yeah,
but they're more than just the cops, right? How many episodes before did we see where the guy was like, we won't blow you out of the water, but we'll let you get away because you helped us, right? And then he's kind of looked at the Republic is, of course, because the story is being told through the Mandalorian's eyes. They're looked at as some sort of fascist good guy group, which in reality, big picture, they are the good guys. And you see him in this episode, and he's not just, the fucking cop.
No, helmets off.
He's I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And there's a threat out there. It is looming, and it's real. And it scares me, and it should scare you. So we could use your help. And then he just pieces out, it leaves the fucking mark. She might as well have had a fucking cowboy hat on with a little toothpick and
Side question: why doesn't, and this probably can't be answered, but why doesn't Leia know about her? You would think that they both come from the same planet. They're both war heroes.
Because the writers didn't exist then.
That was my big thing is why didn't you would think that would be one of the first people that Leia would reach out to that point if they're going to tie in the sequel trilogy.
Right, but her military service goes into Endor. It doesn't go she served as a drop trooper during the Rebellion's battle in Return of the Jedi. So she would have been younger and probably not as high ranking. Essentially, she's just a grunt that goes in and fucking snaps necks and cashes checks. And
all the more reason for Leia to know about her.
She's not the only one.
Yeah, but there was a lot of them.
There's
and you think
bunch.
That when we see the original trilogy, and then even into the sequel trilogy, we almost always see Star Wars from the top of the food chain.
Right.
Right? Like we're seeing the world from them
Where the stakes are the highest.
when you see them on Hoth and they're walking down the corridors and there's just people moving past them, it's like those are the
True.
people that we're getting the story from now. We're getting it from the Outer Rim. We're
That's a
getting
good
it from,
point.
it's like, so it's just a matter. She may have, and maybe she did.
Did you
And
guys
there's
notice the little
Yes.
the
tattoo?
phoenix on her cheek?
that's been there since
I was like,
day one.
All right.
Good
Because that was when they,
Alright.
because when they first revealed her character, it was like, who is she? And they were like, as soon as you saw that, they were like, oh, she was a rebel.
It's keeping, tradition of military people getting shitty tattoos. It's what we do.
I think that end scene between Cara and Captain Teva was probably my favorite on-screen, maybe acting moment between the two, because the way that she kind of stares off into the distance, like real longing as he leaves, makes me think that our running kind of theory that the season finale will probably be on some big, end game, multiple cameo type shit. It makes me think that the New Republic will have a bigger role maybe in the end of the season or be a big plot point for season 3. Like I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up joining the New Republic in some capacity as well.
What I want to see is I'm looking forward to the next episode because again, Favreau and Filoni, they introduce elements into the story and what seems like fan service are actual like legit plot points, right? Like for instance, the troopers at the end. Like, unless you played the fucking first-person game in the 90s and you're old like I am, you won't know that they're the fucking Dark Troopers from the video game. But Ahsoka coming back, yeah, I know, dude. I think Adam and I are the only ones that are like, fucking you! Like, when she comes back, it's going to be interesting. Not because she's Ahsoka Tano, but because they already set up that Mandalorians and Jedi don't get along historically. And when fucking someone who's as a fundamentalist Christian like the Mandalorian is, like he's like, what the fuck? You guys are taking your helmets off? And he's gonna meet the enemy of his people and say, hey, space wizards, how's it going? You get to have this little baby now. Please let's not start some shit. I don't want to start some shit. I want to see what good drama comes from conflict. And I think that's what I'm interested in. And especially because I'm a huge fan of Rebels.
I know.
I know, dude. I'm so excited to see, like, are we going to see Sabine?
That's my big question.
Fucking see Sabine? Are we going to see fucking Ezra? Who knows?
I don't know.
I
don't know. It's so hard.
Yeah.
But with Filoni involved, you have to, because it's like...
like all the Night Owl shit that was in the episode previous is Deep Cuts Rebels shit. And like, as soon as if you watched and finished Rebels, the last episode of season 1, when Moff Gideon comes out with that Darksaber, everyone that finished... everyone that finished Rebels would look and just be like, how the fuck did he get his hands on that shit? Like, hold on. Like, why is he holding that? Those are the real questions that like people are like,
I want to zoom back into this episode and see. I don't think I can.
This is not the Rebels podcast.
I wanted to add. I thought seeing the Razor Crest in its prime form was such a welcome. It was like
I'm rooting for it now. Before I was like, he's got to get rid of that ship. It's old. It's done.
We got to see it go from hoopty to
conflict, drama, man
2020
versus
model.
Machine. It's screenwriting 101.
Yeah, I'm rooting for it now.
We got, and I think that closing scene of seeing the Razor Crest come back and Mando doing like his great aerial assault was only enhanced because I think this is an episode where we got the least amount of screen time with not only the child and Baby Yoda, but also the Mandalorian. We got a lot of screen time on a supporting cast with Greef and Cara and the Mithril as well. I think they occupied a big chunk of that, and I wonder if it has anything to do with Carl Weathers being the director. I wonder if he kind of purposely maybe put a little more screen time on the cameo characters to have that big kind of finishing kind of punchline in the end with the Razor Crest. I thought that was kind of cool. I got a note here that they love reminding us how incompetent the stormtroopers are. There's the two dudes on the
well,
the
they're like
bikes.
in their 50s now.
Dude, there were the two dudes on the bikes that crashed even before they got down the side of them.
I was like, where did they hire these dudes? The X Games? Like, what the fuck? As soon as I saw that shit, I was like, oh man, they're too old to fight. Like, they're for real old, like Nazi soldiers like, we must get in the motorcycles.
Sometimes
How do I start this thing, Richard? Come on, Klaus, hurry up.
Sometimes it feels like they are really leaning into like just how kind of piss poor the stormtroopers are. Like it almost sometimes feels kind of like they're aware of the jokes, but it still hits for me. And I really dig the appearance of TIE fighters. Anytime they incorporate TIE fighters and the pilots,
The sound effects.
yeah,
And the little dust motes inside the canopy when the light shines through, all that shit's awesome. Like it's like, oh yeah, like when they took off, it was like it's dirty as fuck. Like Jesus Christ, the Empire has no money left. Like they have no funding.
And speaking about like I had mentioned, like I felt this episode kind of ties in some not only plot points but overall like themes from like episode 1, especially the last episode of season 1, where we get the first. Well, I think it was like episode 8 or one of those. But anyways, we learned from Moff Gideon the backstory of Cara and Greef. You know, Greef being a magistrate that I think just kind of had a falling out.
Yeah, that guy had their MySpace freaking profiles, dude. He went all the way back. Like, he was like, you got an F in 3rd grade. Greef Karga, I saw your underpants.
So, I mean, that episode is where we got the backstory of all these characters that we had spent a whole season with. It was that moment that we learned, oh, wow, okay, these are all their backstories. And to see all of that kind of pay off, or at least, like, for them to kind of grow into or grow from that in this episode. Like even Nevarro, like it was sunny.
Yeah,
it looked
they
like it was
changed
doing
the bar
really well.
into a school.
Yeah,
like
dude,
all the stuff.
They have a
that
whole
was
market now.
Right.
I thought
The
that was a cool
statue to
yeah.
IG-11.
I thought that whole setting was a cool, like, just there's growth.
That was an
happening.
Easter egg too. I read that they were discussing trade routes.
Yes,
in that thing
yeah.
that was about from
Oh,
the
yeah,
prequels.
yeah. And
Or the
Solo
Corellian,
too.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Corellian run.
Right. All that stuff.
I was too focused on the macaroons in that scene. I was like,
You were like,
get that from Brew?
You're
or
like,
that look
yo,
like some
where did they get
biscottis?
that? Is that
It's like
St. Augustine?
if anyone ever asked what you would do as a child if you had the Force, and it's just that's it. You would steal
Yes.
cookies from
Yes.
your classmates.
How the fuck could that little boy afford macaroons? Like, I was like, what the fuck? Opening up a French delicacy in 3rd grade? Get the hell out of here,
They only
kid.
come up now.
Right?
In the outer rim.
Yeah,
no,
in the outer rim.
Well, it was because they were stolen.
Yeah,
Obviously.
had to be. Had to be.
I think we've touched on. I think Adam and C might have touched on this a little bit. Next week, we're going to be getting the long-awaited Dave Filoni episode. He's credited as the writer and director for episode 5. That'll be chapter 13. And I believe, Blythe, you had mentioned that you've seen somewhere that it's titled, something very on the nose.
The Jedi.
The Jedi.
Perfect.
Do we want to take any
Perfect.
any bets or guesses on what transpires next episode?
I don't know.
We don't
think
see a
talked
single Jedi.
Yeah, no Jedis.
It is probably. I've heard that it's a little bit of a misdirection because they did say in last week's episode they were very specific. Bo-Katan when she said, "I'll take you to a Jedi, not the Jedi, not one Jedi, a Jedi." So I guess with Ahsoka not really conforming to calling herself, she doesn't identify as a Jedi. So who else are they referring to?
Do you think we'll see Moff Gideon in next episode as well?
I
And kind
hope
of
so.
them carry on that plot point of that that tracking
I mean, he
beacon?
put the tracker on their ship.
I think they use. I think Bo-Katan could potentially use Baby Yoda as bait for the Darksaber.
It'll be weird. It'll be Moff Gideon as the bad guy is weird for him to have the Darksaber because, sure, he's got a badass weapon, right? But he's not a Jedi. Like, so if he goes up against, hopefully,
Neither was Sabine.
That's what I'm saying. Hopefully, Ahsoka, but she's also a Mandalorian who has reflexes. Built
We don't
into
know
her.
anything about this guy.
Fair.
We know nothing about
But
him.
we do know about Ahsoka, and if she goes up
Sure.
against Moff Gideon, my money is on her.
Absolutely.
I mean, they've already set up that she's uber powerful, and she was trained by Anakin Skywalker. So it's like, yeah, it's almost kind of like Ahsoka needs to be there in a Obi-Wan capacity. My guess is that she'll sacrifice her life.
Watch your mouth.
She's going to sacrifice her life for the sake of the child or the Mandalorian, which will be like, again, an eye-opener for him, which is what the show is about. And he'll be like, damn, these people are I thought I knew shit about life, but everybody told me that these people are the bad guy, and she just gave up her life for me, and she doesn't even know me.
and that's why you hear her voice talking to Rey.
She's
in the
dead.
sequel.
Yeah. So I would say Ahsoka's going to sacrifice herself in this season.
Yeah, it would be
The
yes,
Jedi
it makes
way.
sense, but it would be from a fan and like a creator perspective. It would be it would suck to finally get her live action and only have her for a few episodes.
But she's
getting her own
you
series,
have her,
I think.
You
so.
have her for fucking Rebels and in Clone Wars for a long ass time.
I know.
I think we're gonna see a live action, so it's probably that would be a good send off for her. Is to die in this season, and then to have her own spin-off show where you explore everything that happened before that.
Yeah. I mean, they've literally done the die fake out with her already, like twice. So, like, I don't know.
And
by
Filoni, so he's probably
depends.
like, this time it's for real.
Maybe. I just think it depends on what their larger plans are, right? Like, if he wants to do something with, because what I think what we read about the spinoff was that it would be Sabine and her tracking down Ezra.
I didn't hear anything in particular about Sabine, only that Ahsoka has her spinoff, and then Boba Fett, which we haven't talked a single thing about. Like, it's almost like just...
Oh, damn, I kind of forgot all about
Boba. And I've heard that he has his own spinoff show as well, that for everything that happens before The Mandalorian. So
The Mandalorian is our Mandalorian, not Boba Fett.
But it is interesting,
and
it is a testament to how well the show is made, is that one of the most fan favorite characters of all time is Boba Fett, regardless of what your opinion of him.
Sure,
that's It's unarguable that he's one of those favorites.
Right.
And they literally reveal the thing that everyone's always been wondering for decades: did he survive? And they're like, there he is.
And people
then
are like,
everyone's
who gives a shit?
Let's go talk about this other stuff. Baby Yoda, he's so cute.
Right.
I think we're at a good stopping point for this episode, but I'll give everyone a chance to give their last minute comments.
So glad you decided. I'm going to talk for another half hour.
Well, see, I'll start with you. Any last minute comments for this episode?
I like the show. I enjoy it. I still enjoy it. It's so good. I encourage people to watch it. Yeah, keep going, man. Keep fucking making these shows. They're good.
All right, Adam. What about you?
Yeah, I love it as well. The modern sensibilities part of my brain is like, I want to see more cohesiveness and more like building from episode to episode, but then I have to keep reeling it back in and say, I know what they're doing. They're doing that weekly thing. They're trying to recapture
small scale
what Lucas wanted to do originally. He wanted to make Flash Gordon, and they wouldn't let him, so he said, fine, I'll make my own Flash Gordon.
Right.
And that's what they're doing here. The people that are making this show are the people that were inspired by those early things.
Sure.
So they're doing that. So yes, I really like it. I've already said I'd like to have seen just one little bit of thread, kind of keep that thread for going for the, like the modern kind of storytelling, and then do all the fun stuff on the sides.
I would say probably my little takeaway notes, besides learning more about the science behind the Force, which noted, I'm going to be watching more of the cartoons. I also want to know more about Gideon's backstory. I think he has fantastic, side note, villain music that plays.
Killed Malcolm X. Sorry, guys.
Stupid.
Well, side note, then the other moment when it's like a soldier or whatever, when she talks about, you'll be rewarded in the new era. I thought that was interesting phrasing. So that was just something to watch out for.
Also, sorry, that is a very dated reference. If you guys have seen Spike Lee's Malcolm X.
Okay, I was about to say, so
at the end of the movie, Giancarlo Esposito is the guy with the shotgun that freaking blows Denzel away.
I did not know how to take that.
You fucking killed Malcolm X, you piece of shit.
Damn, now he's fucking killing space aliens.
Now he's killing.
The killing just don't
They gave him
stop.
the dark
With
saber.
the villain
Malcolm
music.
X, it catapulted him into a chicken dynasty.
Right.
And then
That's really actually what I mainly know him from. All right, well, I think that is the end of our show. Like I said, we'll continue this thing going. Next week, we'll finally be talking about the long-awaited Episode 5 Dave Filoni episode. So I'm sure if you didn't get your Ahsoka fill these last two episodes, you'll definitely get it next one. With that being said, how'd we do? Did we miss anything? Do you want to chime in with a thought or share something with us to read next episode? Shortbox Nation, let us know by sending us an email at theshortboxjacks@gmail.com. I personally want to recognize and thank the people who made this episode possible. Our sponsor, Gotham City Limit. My panel today, Blythe, Adam, and Cesar. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And, of course, the group of Shortbox zealots that keep the lights on here at the Shortbox Studios, our patrons. If you enjoyed the podcast and are in a position to contribute or donate to support the show and keep this thing going, consider becoming a Shortbox patron. Visit patreon.com/theshortbox to find out more. Thanks again for hanging out and sharing your most valuable commodity, which is your time. You could be listening to any other podcast, but you're here with us, and that means a lot. We'll be back next week to cover episode 5. And, of course, don't forget to check out our regular weekly episodes that drop every Wednesday, especially if you're a fan of the comic books. In the meantime, continue to make mine and your short box. It is the way. Have a great week.